This convention is now engaged in a pivot away from the Biden era that will soon wrap up and towards the Harris era that Democrats hope is about to begin. But while there is plenty of sizzle on display in the convention arena ahead of Thursday night's balloon drop following Kamala Harris's big speech, Democrats are also feverishly engaged behind the scenes in a search for some steak. The quest is urgent because Kamala Harris has inherited a 92-page party platform that was written when everyone thought Joe Biden was going to be the party's presidential nominee. But she will, of course, want to lay out her own policy plans. The Center for American Progress was one organization on Tuesday convening a meeting where Democrats could discuss what the first 100 days of a Harris administration might look like at home and overseas. Congressman Joe Neguse of Colorado is the assistant leader of the Democrats in the House of Representatives.
Vice President Harris has articulated over the course of just the last 10 days a very specific, actionable plan that a Democratic Congress can take up to address the consequential challenges we face here in the United States. Just by way of example, with respect to some of the economic pains that folks are feeling, an effort to address lowering costs, to take on price gouging. She outlined a very ambitious and, I think, thoughtful and cogent plan around lowering the cost of housing, just by way of example, on Friday of last week. So I'm excited about the platform.
But there are many voices here furious about it, at least as far as its elements on the Middle East are concerned. Protesters trying to encircle this convention say Harris needs to be specific about how she will adjust US policy towards Israel and Gaza and go beyond simply saying that she will not be silent about civilian deaths. Within the security perimeter, there is less support for that view.
I think the United States has really taken the right position in moving this to a relatively, I hope, unified ceasefire that's going to have durability and be able to last longer. The first one only lasted for 4 days. We need something that can last longer than that. And the only way we can get that is if Hamas and Israel come to terms and reach an agreement.
Starring on Tuesday on the fringes of the Democratic Party convention, former New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern. She is urging Democrats to embrace the concept that voters are looking for a different kind of politics that forces politicians to lift their own sights and expectations.
Look, if there's any lesson I learned while in politics, it was that, ultimately the politics of any country is for that nation to decide and for that people to decide. But I certainly get asked a lot generally about politics at the moment, the global state of politics. And I do think if you look around the world, there is a call from voters to see that positivity from politicians, to try and reduce that sense of division.
But whether the Democratic Party, a political behemoth and also a massive fundraising machine, can entirely heed that advice is an open question as Kamala Harris comes to the fore. On Wednesday night, it's her running mate, Governor Tim Walz of Minnesota, who will be centre stage on stage, an opportunity for him to introduce himself to voters tuning in on America's television networks and also to those consuming excerpts of the speech online. He'll also be paving the way for Kamala Harris's big address on Thursday night. Simon Marks, CNA, at the Democratic Convention in Chicago.